Hello, everyone. My name is Alex. I'm a building construction engineer, and while I'm doing well financially, I felt something was missing that would bring me true fulfillment. So here's my story about how I found love in the most unexpected place. Stay tuned. Before I get into that, let me tell you about my ex-fiancée Debbie. She was always causing disputes between us and had excessive demands, constantly asking for a luxurious lifestyle. It was stressing me out. I tried to explain that I was still building my life, but she didn't get it. She acted like the world revolved around her. She even told me that her dad could easily provide the luxurious lifestyle she was demanding from me. Oh, really? Well, I'm glad your dad can do all that. I'm not your father, I told her. Then she said I wasn't ready for a woman like her and walked away. My God, is this what I signed up for? I had to comfort myself and say, it is well with my soul. Debbie then decided to break up with me and call off our wedding. Instead of my friend Abel consoling me, he started talking about the best man's outfit he had already ordered for the wedding. Wait, who is this guy? I'm sharing my life struggles, and he's talking about best man clothes? I just walked away angrily and went upstairs. Everyone was just getting on my nerves. While I was at a construction site checking on the progress and assessing what was needed to complete the interior of the building, I received a call from Debbie's dad. He wanted to discuss the issues between Debbie and me. We spoke for a bit, and after I explained everything, even he was shocked. Dear parents, please raise your children to understand the value of money. No matter how wealthy you are, don't always hand everything to them on a silver platter. Make them do something productive to earn it, so they'll appreciate its value and understand what it means when someone helps them, even in small ways. Shortly after that, Abel called. I mentioned that I had just spoken with Debbie's dad, and Abel was surprised that Debbie involved her father. For real, guys, these daddy's girls will always behave like children, even when they're grown. I told him the details of what happened between Debbie and me, like how she wanted our wedding ceremony in Miami and demanded a handbag worth 1 million naira. She was just putting me under so much pressure. I mean, who does that? I didn't come into this world to shower any woman with luxury she doesn't even know how to earn. I'm not ready for that. Abel was speechless and overwhelmed by what I was telling him about Debbie's selfishness. We exchanged pleasantries and ended the call. The next day, Abel and I were going over some architectural plans for a building project we were about to start at my house. Later, he mentioned he needed to head somewhere, so I asked for a lift since I needed to get to Suralere. My car has been with my mechanic for days now, and he still hasn't fixed it. Reluctantly, Abel agreed to give me a lift. However, he mentioned he had to make a few stops before heading to Suralere. My friend will never change. Look at his age. He's not married and still goes around with call girls. I just shook my head as I went to change my footwear so we could leave. So, Abel and I arrived at a brothel. While we were still seated in the car, one of the ladies standing along the road approached us. I quickly told her that I wasn't the one looking for a babe, but my friend was. The funny thing is, my friend rejected her, saying she was too skinny and that he prefers his girls thick. Wow, guys, look at his size alone. No doubt he needs someone like that, so he doesn't accidentally crush someone's daughter to death. Just kidding. I was laughing when I noticed a lady slapping a guy in his car, and they were exchanging words. Abel noticed it too and said the guy was probably bargaining below her price. I was surprised because she was dressed decently. I didn't believe she was a call girl. But that's their business, not why we're here, I told Abel as we decided to leave. The next day, Abel came to my house with a portfolio containing the architectural plans for a new building contract we were designing. I went through it, checking the budget for the building design. Then I started discussing the lady we saw the previous night at the brothel. I didn't know her name yet, but I had a feeling she wasn't a prostitute. Abel, however, was blunt and called her one. He even teased me, asking if I had something to do with her. I told him no. How could I? I just felt she was different, but Abel didn't believe me and told me to forget about it. Later that night, I decided to drive back to the brothel with Abel to see and have a chat with the lady I saw. My friend was surprised, asking why I was so determined to see a prostitute who dressed decently, but I kept defending her even though I didn't really know her yet. When we arrived at the brothel, I saw her and greeted her. Abel got out of the car so she could sit with me in the front, but as soon as she noticed us, she ran away, thinking we were trying to kidnap her or something. She was running and shouting, "Nadam!" I got out to stop her, but she was too scared to wait. My friend started laughing, leaving me confused and disappointed as I left the place. When I got home, I was so disturbed, wondering why she ran away. Had she seen my face somewhere scary before? I was just really concerned. The next morning, still deep in thought, my friend came over. We exchanged pleasantries and he noticed how I looked. He asked if I was all right, and I admitted that I couldn't stop thinking about the girl from the brothel. My friend told me I needed to let her go and stop looking for her, but I insisted that I had to find her because I was attracted to her, whether he liked it or not. Seeing that I was adamant, I changed the subject. I told him that the Bacon Group had pulled out of the project. He wasn't happy about it and blamed me, saying I had lost focus because I was chasing after a girl I met at a brothel. Upset, he left my house, leaving me even more confused. That night, I couldn't help myself. I had to go look for her at the brothel. I met with the manager, who showed me pictures of the girls he worked with. I saw her picture among them, but unfortunately, he told me she had stopped working there because she cost him a lot of money. Wow. I politely asked if he could give me her contact information, address, or anything to help me find her. But the manager flared up, saying she no longer worked for him, scaring the hell out of me with his tone. I quickly left the brothel. A few days later, I was driving around the estate with Abel when I spotted the lady taking a stroll. I drove up to where she was, trying to say hi, but as soon as she saw me, she started walking faster and then ran off again. I couldn't understand why she kept running away from me. Abel took the opportunity to make fun of her, joking that maybe she had village problems, but I kept defending her, insisting she was my type. I said convincingly, "This is the kind of girl I'd love to have by my side." Later that same day, I saw her taking pictures with her phone. I approached her and offered to help, noticing that her phone's camera wasn't very bright. She began to panic and asked why I kept following her. Quickly, I introduced myself. "My name is Alex," I said, reaching out for a handshake, but she didn't respond, so I awkwardly pulled my hand back and continued. "I'm an engineer, and I'm working on some projects around here. That's why I keep coming by." She seemed a bit relieved and then handed me her phone to take some pictures for her. I gladly obliged, thinking to myself, "My God, this woman is really beautiful." However, when she saw the pictures, she didn't like them. "Maybe it's the quality of your phone," I offered. "Let me use mine." She accepted. After we finished, I suggested sending the pictures to her via WhatsApp, an excuse to get her number. She agreed and gave it to me. She finally told me her name, Ozioma. I was so excited. Yes! Finally, I knew my dream girl's name. I bid her goodbye and promised to call her as we parted ways. When I got home, I couldn't stop fantasizing over the pictures I had taken of Ozioma. Abel was talking to me, but I wasn't paying attention. He noticed and snapped me back to reality, asking why I was smiling and what was making me so happy. I told him I had finally met Ozioma and that she wasn't a prostitute, but Abel insisted she was, arguing that since we met her at a brothel, she must be one. I asked him why he hated Ozioma so much, but he claimed he didn't. He was just telling the truth. He then proceeded to make more hateful comments about Ozioma, which didn't sit well with me. I immediately tuned him out before walking away. That same night, I was busy chatting with Ozioma on WhatsApp after sending her the pictures. I asked her out on a date and she agreed, making me so excited. The next day, while chatting with Ozioma, I initially asked her to come to my house, but then I thought, is that really safe? Sure, I wanted to get to know her, but bringing her to my house didn't seem advisable, so I changed the plan and suggested we meet at a hotel instead. I booked a room for us, and when we got there, I ordered a bottle of wine to start as we began talking. Guess what, guys? She cleared up my curiosity when I asked her to tell me about herself. Ozioma told me she's the first child among 6 siblings, and that her friend Angelina had invited her to come to Lagos to start a business. But she wasn't a call girl. She was only following her friend's advice that once she started doing runs, it would be easier to find a suitor. Husband. Wow, that was strange, I thought to myself. I quickly reassured her that she didn't need to explain anything further. I believed her. When I tried to touch her, she seemed uncomfortable, so I told her to relax and assured her I wouldn't disturb her. She seemed to relax a bit, and I excused myself to give her some space. As days went by, we went on more sweet and romantic dates at beautiful restaurants, and it was fun spending time with her. Now, she's no longer a stranger to me, and I'm liking her more each day. So guys, I finally brought Ozioma to my humble abode after we went shopping so she could cook something delicious for us. She was wowed by the interior design and admired the paintings on the wall. Shortly after, I received a call from one of our clients and needed to attend to it quickly. I told her to feel at home and directed her to the kitchen. Then I stepped out. When I returned, I found her still in the kitchen. She told me she was done cooking and would serve me at the dining table. She started telling me how she couldn't turn on the gas cooker and had to call the gateman to assist her, and he even helped her with an apron. I couldn't help but laugh because she was so hilarious telling me the story. For real, guys, she's really fun to be with. But most importantly, I thanked God I didn't come back to a burnt house. If that had happened, I wouldn't have forgiven myself. Thank goodness my gate man knows how to use most of the kitchen equipment, especially the gas stove. After I finished eating her meal, I complimented her on the delicious food she cooked. She then told me that her mother once had a restaurant in her village. She assured me that now that she's here, she would cook so many delicious delicacies for me that I wouldn't even remember the name of any restaurant again. I was amazed as she left. This is the woman Abel doesn't like. She's funny, beautiful, and can even cook. Since I don't know how to cook, I believe now I'll be eating good food regularly, I said to myself. Days went by and Ozioma moved in with me. I took the time to show her how things worked in my house, starting with operating the smart TV, opening the freezer, and using other kitchen appliances she wasn't familiar with. She paid close attention to every detail. A few days later, I went out for drinks with Abel. I got so engrossed in my phone that I didn't notice my friend trying to get my attention until he finally did. He figured it was Ozioma who had me daydreaming, but I just told him to relax. I then began telling him about what happened the day she came over to cook for me. I saw what she did as a sign of love. She cared enough about me to call for help with the gas stove, which other girls might not have bothered to do. Of course, Abel didn't like when I spoke about Ozioma in such a way, as he always seemed to belittle her. While we were still talking, I received a call from Ozioma. She didn't sound good and asked why I hadn't told her I was married, leaving me completely confused. I assured her that I wasn't married, but she said a woman had come to look for me. I immediately knew it had to be Debbie. I quickly excused myself from Abel and rushed home. When I arrived, I found Debbie acting like she owned the place. I told her she had no right to embarrass my guest. Debbie went on to insult Ozioma, calling her a lowlife. I stood up to defend Ozioma, telling Debbie that Ozioma was 10 times better than she was. Daddy's girl? My foot, I said, leaving Debbie defeated. I told her to leave and never show her face in my house again, and she left, humiliated. A year and a few months later, I had enrolled Ozioma in school so she could upgrade herself. One day, as Ozioma, who now spoke fluently and was taking her studies seriously, was in the living room preparing for her exams, I joined her downstairs. She told me she was preparing for an upcoming exam and didn't want any distractions unless she needed help with a math problem. I was just so excited for her growth. After playing with her a little, I left her to focus. A few weeks later, my beloved fiancée, Ozioma, and I invited my friend Abel and Ozioma's best friend Angelina to our house to celebrate Ozioma's graduation. Over these few years together, I've found peace and am grateful to God for bringing us together. Ozioma is already thinking about pursuing her master's degree soon. She expressed her gratitude to God, her friend Angelina, and me. Then, Ozioma gave me the greatest news. She's pregnant. I was shocked and completely excited. I am truly blessed to call Ozioma mine. I hope you enjoyed my story and learned something from it. Please share your thoughts on what you've learned in the comment section. For me, I'll leave you with this. Don't always judge a book by its cover. Wherever or with whomever you find peace, stay there. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to this channel for more interesting and up-to-date Nigerian movie content. See you next time.